We're here in the North Georgia mountains this afternoon trying to do some filming, and we're going to take a little break and talk a little bit about some of the baits. I got a bait that I designed called the Bull Shad, and I've mimicked it around the forage that we have here in the Georgia area, or actually all of the southeast, mimicking the gizzard shad, threadfin, and blueback herring. Some of the bigger baits that I like to throw for spotted bass and also the big largemouth is my 8-inch size. I have a 7-inch size. I have a 6 and a 5, but for trophy fishing, I like to use the bigger baits. They have more drawing power. I'm able to move bigger fish more. It's kind of like when you were growing up, you know, if you have a jar of baby food over here on this table and you have a T-bone over here, which one of the adults going to gravitate towards? So that's the kind of the theory that I do when I fish my big baits. Is I like to try to throw big baits and try to get them to move a little bit more. Those big fish are lazy. They want to fish efficiently. They want one meal and be done with it. They don't want to chase a bunch of minnows and work around. So that's what I try to do. All my baits are three joints. Something I'm coming out for 2010 is my 4-joint gizzard shad. It's going to be about a 9-inch bait. Something that I'm working on for 2010, and also what I try to do with this bait is to try to get a little bit more fluid movement of the gizzard. It's going to be real subtle, kind of like what a Huddleston and a trout. Gizzard shad, when they move through the water, they're very subtle. They don't have a lot of S action. It's more like just a little fluid thing. So just trying to get the realism down for the fish. The more realer you get, the more your chances are of pulling a big bass.
All right, Mike is someone I met when I first got to Georgia, and just really, you know, appreciate your hospitality and helping me kind of just get settled in. We used to have a lot of fun. He'd come over to my house. We'd look at swim baits, talk swim baits. I was trying to, learn and learn from Mike, and I love that Mike makes a big bait. You see so many swim bait guys that they want to call their, I'm throwing a swim bait, Well, 5-inch paddle tail tubes and some of these, Sabile, and I have nothing against Sabile, but they're just not, a lot of the swim baits guys throw are just not big baits, and Mike's baits are certainly a mouthful, and these target trophy fish, but he's also got the sizes that are more tournament centric. So something just real proud of Mike for coming up with his ideas. I think the profile of the bait is just, the realism is just bang on. You've done a phenomenal job, and definitely glad to hear that business is going good. And
not only is it realistic, but also the good thing about it is if a fish comes from the back, it will fold up and inhibit make sure that the fish gets the hooks in the back. So if they come from the back, they get it this way, it folds up. You can sit there and you can turn this thing around anyway. It doesn't warp or anything. So it's kind of unique that I try to mimic the forage and also make it effective for the fish to get it from behind.
Everything you've done is quality. Your components are legit. Your eyes are great. Your tail. I mean, this tail design, you're not going to see that anywhere else. That's a unique Mike Buka innovation right here. How many swim baits do you have where the tail is such a critical factor in how the bait runs? This thing being soft, you never have to replace it. It's never going to mess with how well the bait runs. But I mean, you're never going to have issues storing it in your tackle box, and your tail's all kinked up and it's going to run crooked. So I think are just profound about this bait. I've had a little bit of experience with it. I fished with the smaller version on Lake Pickwick, and something I thought was neat about it versus the triple trout was the three-piece version was how tight the wiggle was and how well it fished in the current. Mm-hmm. The bigger serpentine action sometimes in current there's too much going on for a bait to be able to swim wide.
Right.
So a tighter wiggle in bait in that current made a big difference. And I caught some fish at Pickwick, unfortunately, not in the tournament, but no, I thought that was really cool, and it's something. A light bulb went off in my head. I learned something. That was a new experience for me. It's like, hey, fishing swim baits in current, a tighter wiggle probably makes a little bit more sense. You know what I mean? Because you can't fight the current and still get a bait to run straight.